I've ever had like a very, how do I say this? To all my, anyone who ever has been in a bad breakup or in a bad relationship, it kind of feels like a math formula. You look at it from a distance. You carry the one. You carry the remainder. You divide it by your expectation with it. By what you get, the results, and you find out the math formula always leads to a negative every time. And I'm just taking the same thing when it comes to relationships. You know, like relationships. I'm talking about guy, girl, girl. I'm talking about relationship in general. The expectations, the high, the good time, there may be some bad time, but the good times overwhelm it. And then it gets to the point where you got to go, make it official, talk to the family, you get to the point where making it serious, you talk about changing keys to each other's places, you start talking about maybe potentially becoming parents, when you get to the point of pairing, maybe consider marriages, and by the time you get to the point of basically making a commitment, it falls over, it falls apart. And sometimes it's so bad you can't realize, was it me or was it you why it failed? Hey everybody, I'm Cortez and I'm a critic, and that metaphor is based on the Baltimore Ravens and the fan base that support them week in and week out. It is a bad breakup that sometimes you can't tell. So who messed it up? You guys, or did we mess up? Now, just for the record, for those people that are in a happy relationship and think my metaphor, and who happen to also be Raven fan, think my metaphor is basically just tarnishing their whole expectation of relationship and love life is. Keep in mind that I have none, so quite frankly, I'm bitter. But anyway, let's talk about sports, because everyone's gonna be bitter at sports, and no one has to go to a psychological therapist to pay for the mortgage. So, Ravens, I initially had you guys at a potential 13-win team, at worst, 10 wins. Basically, you're going to get double-digit victories. The question will be whether you guys were going to be the number 1 seed or the 4th seed, and everything in between. You guys want to be 12-5, so technically, you guys did what you did. Even though there were some losses, I'm thinking, why do you guys mess up on date night? Date night, once again, and we'll talk about the date night you guys messed up. And yes, Lamar Jackson was yes, I can see the argument that he probably should have been MVP, which we'll talk about when we talk about my MVP. I just basically spoiled it. But you guys got Derrick Henry. You guys did what Dallas Cowboys didn't do. You went all in. Derrick Henry was basically a few yards away, and I mean less than 100, from a 2,000-yard season. Zay Flowers proved that he's worthy. Mark Andrews proved that he's human. And the Ravens did what we all thought they were. I mean, seriously, nothing. The Ravens are such a bland team that is successful, but somehow you still go, yeah, they won by 30. Oh, okay, yeah. Lamar Jackson threw an interception, threw for 400 yards and 7 touchdowns. Oh, okay. The Ravens pitched a shutout. Oh, okay. The Ravens won the division again. Oh, okay. The Ravens won a playoff game. Oh, okay. You're saying the same story. We want a different ending. Hell, the ending's the same. We didn't go to the Super Bowl this year. Okay. That's why the Ravens are the perfect metaphor for relationships. When you guys are good, it is like, oh, you're so freaking high. Like it's an adrenaline rush how great it is. Yeah, we kicked your ass. Yeah, we're going to win the division. Yeah, brother, we're going to do it. And then you start coming down, and there's like, okay, I don't like how you set up the toilet paper. I'm more of a under guy than a over guy, so. But hey, I still love you. What do you mean? What do you mean your cousin's dog that has Parkinson's is gonna come live with us for the weekend? No, I'm not doing that. So you have a little tussle, okay. And then you all of a sudden there's some moment where it's like you give her the keys to your Ferrari and she dings it, basically coming out of the driveway. You're like, oh my god, what's wrong with you? That's the Ravens. That's the Ravens. It's just like, why am I in this? Why do I like you so much? And then if you're not a fan, why am I rooting for you so hard? Why? So let's go to your best game. Best game for Baltimore was Week 16 versus Pittsburgh. Now you're probably thinking, really? That game? And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Remember when I said there's that, stub toe moment in the relationship? Well, Ravens, you guys thought it'd be kind of hilarious to lose to Pittsburgh 18-16 in just a slobber knock type of game. So the reason why this is your best game, because me, who is not a Raven fan, is saying, do not screw this up. Because Pittsburgh still had dreams of winning the division. Do not screw this up. And you guys didn't. As a matter of fact, you guys pummel them so much that basically you are a supervillain letting your henchmen finish the work. That's how badly. And I was like, finally, you guys took care of business. Now, some who are maybe not as familiar with stats, because you're not a nerd like me, are thinking, well, obviously the better team won. I'm thinking, Lamar Jackson is 2-4. He has a losing record against the Steelers. And he is obviously the better quarterback. Lamar Jackson has faced more quarterback in Steelers uniforms than probably most teams face in a 10-year career. Lamar Jackson has faced multiple different quarterbacks. Many of them were one season and gone. And he has a loser. He has the same record as Tom Brady had when he was a Buccaneer against the Saints. The Saints beat Brady 4 straight times in the regular season. But they beat him in the playoff. The only difference is that Tom Brady gave us Buccaneer fans a Super Bowl ring. You guys have not. The sad thing is, you guys still have a chance to kind of get a couple. You probably get a couple of rings. But the old white guy from New England gave us retirees in Florida a ring. Made history too. First team to win Super Bowl in the whole stadium. So even they made history. But Brady was 2-4 against the Saints. Which I can't help but feel like the Ravens are a much better team than the Steelers. But for some reason, Lamar Jackson stubs his toe. Like the Bengals do when they play the Browns. They stub their toe. There's a team that everyone has where if you lose them, you're thinking, yeah, that's expected. That's the stub your toe game. That's going to be the new slogan of teams. Every team, put in the comments below what team you just felt like no matter how good they are, they'll be undefeated, but they will lose that game and you'd be like, yeah, I saw it coming. Me is the Bucks versus Saints. As a Buccaneer fan, that's me. Ravens and Steelers. For some reason, you will stub your toe against the Steelers, and I don't know why. You guys are so much better than them. So you guys crushing the Steelers and then crushing them again. Basically took both their nutsacks and you crushed them. Very vivid metaphor. But I am incredibly annoyed with Ravens every week, every season. I'm thinking, they're going to beat the Chiefs. They don't. Every season, every time. So that's why this is your best game. You beat the Steelers. You crushed them. You destroyed their hope of division title. And you did what you had to do. And then you crushed them again in the playoffs. So, thank you. Your worst game. Week 13 versus Philadelphia. This game, for all intents and purposes, I think we all can agree, this was a Super Bowl preview. What's funny enough is that one bird actually made it to the dance, the other one didn't. So, this game was sloppy. It was a sloppy game. A lot of misses, a lot of kicks, a lot of we had two of the young faces of dual threat quarterbacks in Hurts and Jackson basically dueling it out, basically saying this is the future of the NFL. Athletic, mobile quarterbacks that basically can take over a game themselves. Both had great running backs in Henry and Barkley. Both have receiving core. So this was a good, even matchup, and it kind of looked like a preseason game with a bunch of third stringers. Looked kind of sloppy. I mean, the scoreboard says 24-19. Even that just feels like, ugh. It's like making a ham and cheese sandwich, but somehow it looks gross. You're like, ugh. I think you over toasted it. You got the bad mayo. That's not mustard you put in that sandwich. That's not good. That's what it was. It was sloppy. And it kind of put a little bit of like, maybe the Ravens are not as good as we thought. Maybe they weren't. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Maybe they weren't as good as we thought. Now, granted, that was week 10. You guys still have plenty of time. And after that game against it, you crushed the Giants, you beat the Steelers, you crushed the Texans, and you beat the Browns. So, and then you beat the Steelers again. And then you were a 2-point conversion away from potentially dethroning the Bills, which that game felt more like it was more the Bills lucky winning than you guys losing, than my humble opinion. But to me, there you go. That was the worst game because it just felt like you guys are gonna have no competition, no real threat until basically the divisional round. And the question was, is this team ready to beat the big boys if they can't handle the big boys that are not in their conference that they probably could have faced in the Super Bowl? And let's be real, that's what happened. Eagles did go to the Super Bowl. And yeah, so worst game, that one. Your MVP goes to Lamar Jackson. Now we can talk about MVP conversations. Lamar Jackson had 4 interceptions and 41 touchdowns. Looking at the stats here, he just had just under 4,200 yards. But this is the part where I feel the argument with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen comes back. Derrick Henry had 1,900 yards. Lamar had 915 yards. I would have said if some of those yards went to Derrick Henry, Henry would have had 2,000 yards, and I think we would have been like Derrick Henry was the Ravens MVP. Derrick Henry had 16 touchdowns. He averages 113 yards per game with a 5.9 average. To me, I feel like Derrick Henry was more MVP, but Lamar Jackson didn't just deteriorate or just like par the hole here. He was like, no. Derrick Henry's coming in, but I'm not going to lower my game, and he didn't. I think a lot of it's because his receiving core stepped up, especially Zay Flowers. They stepped up to help out Lamar, which makes me more excited that the Ravens are on the ride, but it just feels like how much better can they be and still somehow not sink at the end? So Lamar Jackson is the MVP for the Ravens. Probably should have been MVP for the, NFL season. If you have conspiracy theories about it, I kind of don't want to hear it. Let's just leave it alone. But to me, Lamar Jackson was clearly the reason why the Ravens were there. Similar to what the Eagles went through, I feel like Jalen Hurts was more the opposite, that Barkley was the reason why the Eagles were successful more, and not the other way around when it comes to that. I feel like Lamar Jackson met Derrick Henry's energy, and basically you can make co-MVP, but I'm not that kind of guy. You got to give one MVP, and it goes to Lamar Jackson. For the season, for what he had, 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions is just like, man, he blew out my 40 touchdowns, single-digit interceptions by half. And it's just like, man, you did that. Man, you did that. Wow, it hurts. So that's the MVP. When it comes to your grade, this is a tough one, guys, because we all expect you guys to be in the playoffs, especially in the division round at the latest. You guys won the division. You guys look great. It's success. It's a successful season. Not to the standard that I'm sure Raven players, ownership, and fans expected for the past few seasons, but is successful in the basis of NFL season for NFL teams. Division winners, playoff games, went to the divisional round, MVP candidates all around, A-list stars across. So technically your season is a success, but that's like outside person looking in, while fan base, ownership, and players will probably consider the season a failure, but I cannot do that because technically your season was not a failure. It was just expected. Success. Your draft picks. I really want you guys to sack quarterbacks again. I really want you guys to get a sack quarterback again. So I said, screw it. Get a pass rusher. There'll be plenty there. And some may be on this list, and some may be people from other lists I made. But as of right now, I have Jalen Walker from Georgia. I have Sherrod Stewart from Texas A&M. And I have James Pierce Jr., make sure I get that name pronounced right, from Texas. It could be Ed Green. I feel like you guys need a fresh, up-and-coming pass rusher. I am telling you, please, for the love of God, get us a pass rusher. Get us someone to sack quarterbacks. Get us someone, because you're going to need someone to harass Josh Allen and Mahomes, especially and Joe Burrow, because he might be there in the playoffs again. You're going to play them 3 times in the season. Get someone to sack these quarterbacks. Harass these quarterbacks. That's what you need. Because unless you are a Raven fan, I can't think of the pass rusher success for the Ravens this year on top of my head right now. Like, I'm thinking. And I'm trying to look down my laptop to find out who is the sack leader for the Ravens. Every other team, I can at least mention one pass rusher. Maybe it's not the sack leader, but at least I can mention one pass rusher that potentially was, either the guy or was going to be the guy. For the Ravens, screw it. I'm looking at it now. Let me see. Defense. Your sack leader was Van Noy, the linebacker, who was, last time I checked, he was not, your guys. He was a free agency pickup. So, there you go. Even your free agent acquisition that turned out to be great still does not even reach across my brain. Unless I look him up. Maybe, and then I just realized, oh yeah, he was on the team. That's how bad it was. So that's the Ravens. Pass rusher, sack quarterbacks. This video went so long. We did with the AFC North. So now we're gonna stay in the North. We're gonna go to the NFC North. And boy, I have to. Let's go to the Bears and see what happened as we make fun of them. And basically everyone that basically put them on top of, Pride Rock and crowned them the NFC North king when they weren't even the court jester level of importance to that NFC North kingdom. So we'll see what the Bears did wrong. And I think a lot to do with expectations from others. So until next time, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you so very much for watching.